Um, anyway, I figured I would start with this one. Uh, I love to just get the supremely raw content of just a Donald Trump speaking clip, right? This is by France 24, but I'm pretty sure it's just our big beautiful boy rambling at us for about 10 minutes. Now, people might know that last time I got a little bit angry with him because he went full grandpa mode and started talking about a bunch of shit I didn't care about for like way too long. Um, I'm really hoping that doesn't happen this time. But this one is replay. Trump addresses war in Iran. France 24 English by France 24 English. Let's see what POTUS has to say.
We had a Dow at 50,000.
Ooh, hell
They
yeah.
say it couldn't happen in 4 years. It wouldn't happen during my term. But if I got anywhere close, it would be a great success. Well, in my first year, we hit 50,000.
We hit 50,000. What's it
And
at now?
with the S&P, they said even more difficult.
Uh-oh.
They said it would be impossible.
Uh-oh. Guys, I got some bad news for him. I got some really bad news for him. We're at we're under 50,000 again. We're at 46,000 again. Oh no. How long has it been since we've been at that? I guess 6 months or 4 months ago we were about down there. 1 year. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, 6, 8 months around then we're back down there. Um, you know, I'm sure that I'm sure that everything will pick up soon. He's been doing a lot of really good market manipulations over the weekend, claiming that there's talks happening and stuff. So I think it'll pick back up and then probably shoot back down. And I'm sure a bunch of people will probably profit a lot off of it. But anyway, let's see what else he has to say. I got caught up too early in the speech about the Dow.
To hit 7,000 on the S&P, and we hit that in our first term. And then, unfortunately, I called Pete, I called General Kane, I called a lot of our great people. We have great people, and I said, let's talk. We got a problem in the Middle East. We have a country
We sure
known
do.
as Iran that for 47 years has been just a purveyor of terror, and they're very close to having a nuclear weapon. We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60 is no end. Or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And Pete, I think
$20 says I know which one he chose.
you were the first one to speak up, and you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So we are now having really good discussions. They started last night, a little bit.
I'm sure.
The night before that.
Totally.
And I think they're very good. They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done.
Well, that was what they were always agreeing to. They had a fatwa against it. Yeah, they were always agreeing to not have a nuclear weapon. So I don't think that's any change in position at all, is it?
But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that I won't be. We were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it, and hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all.
Yeah, for those unaware, he said that they were going to shoot up the power plants, and then Iran listed all of the things that they were planning to hit if America attacked their infrastructure or their energy infrastructure. And then Donald Trump immediately said, actually, we're not going to do that. So it's really hard to read that as anything other than a giant taco from our big taco Trump over here. So
all of us,
yeah.
Including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight.
The best ally.
They've really been a good partner.
My favorite
in the
ally.
Fight. They fought hard. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a very good chance we're going to end up in a deal. And so we're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal.
Okay. So I've heard conflicting things, obviously, about whether they're actually talking with Iran. Personally, I don't think before he let out the tweet that brought the oil prices back down slightly at the beginning of the day or whatever. I don't really think that they were talking before that. He's saying that they're like talking now still, but Iran, I think, as far as I know, still has stated that they don't want to talk at all. They're not done punishing America or whatever. Um, but I could also see like them having some backdoor like discussions, like outlining their conditions for peace or whatever. And if America doesn't agree to that, I don't necessarily think they are ready to enter into any sort of negotiated agreement. I think, like I said before, I think they really want to wait until the interceptors run out for Israel in particular. And so, um, I don't know how long that'll take. Israel's interceptors have been shooting off at I think like half capacity over the past week or so, like two interceptors per missile instead of like five or whatever they were doing before, which indicates some sort of like strain or like some sort of supply issue to me. So I think they're gonna, in my opinion, I think they're gonna at least keep this going for another month, maybe 2 months. Originally they said the midterms. I'm sure they could, but we'll see. We'll see.
For everybody, as good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place, which if we don't have to do that, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing. In addition,
That
after
would be a good
the
thing.
appalling lines and massive disruptions at major airports nationwide last weekend, I am again demanding that Democrats in Congress immediately end their
Ah,
disgraceful shutdown
the
of the
Democratic
Department of
shutdown, man. It is crazy though how this continuously happens under a Republican administration. Our entire infrastructure just crumbles every time a Republican comes into office.
Homeland Security and to restore the full funding for airport security and the TSA. They are holding it up because they want to take care of illegal immigrants coming into our country.
Yeah, they tried to do all this shit last time with the healthcare funding thing. It just never works, man. I say before, Americans are fucking stupid. All they think about is Republican in office, TSA no work. Like I'm telling you, like that's like the brain capacity of the average American. And so they will just associate this with Trump. That in fact most people don't even understand how like Congress works or how like the Senate versus the you know the House of Representatives and all that stuff. That is all too big brain. They literally just think Republican president, Republican president's fault. Like that's all they think. So you can keep trying, keep on messaging, Don. Maybe it'll work this time, but it didn't work last time.
They want to take care of criminals that are in sanctuary cities. They want to take care of transgender for everybody, literally the mutilization of our children.
Hell yeah.
Men.
Trans everybody. That's what I say. I want everyone trans. I'll trans. We'll all trans. We'll all go trans together. It'll be glorious. Everybody switches genders and then everything's the exact same except we're all gender swapped. It's like that's like a fucking plot of an anime, dude. I'm here for it.
In women's sports, but what they don't want to do is give us anything to do with citizenship for voting or voter ID. Can you imagine? We're the only country that doesn't do voter ID. Every country does voter ID.
Yeah, and other countries also provide every single person, like every single citizen, with a voter ID. This is one of those things. This is rhetorical trickery that they do a lot. They say that other countries all have voter ID, but in other countries you don't have to go through a like weeks long process to try to acquire some kind of identification from the government to allow you to vote or whatever. In other countries, if you're a citizen, you just get sent a voter ID and you use that to go vote. It's very easy. So Trump, if you want to do voter IDs, I'm fine with that. You, as the federal government, though, have to provide that to every American citizen and make it incredibly easy for them to go vote. That's what I say. And yeah, that's my opinion.
You know, brought to my attention today that we're the only country that does mail-in voting. Mail-in voting means mail-in cheating.
Yeah,
I call it
it's
mail-in
rad.
cheating. And we got to do something about it all, and it's part of Homeland Security.
I think Republicans do that disproportionately, so yeah, you know.
And I'm suggesting
I could
strongly
be
to the
wrong though. Let me
Republican
look it up.
Party, don't make any deal on anything. The most important thing we can have is what's called the Save America Act. Don't make any deal on anything unless you include voter ID, and you have to be a citizen to vote. You have to show citizenship to vote. Very easy to do. It's very insulting when they say people can't do it because they don't know how to do it. Anybody that can't do
Sorry, I'm gonna pause this for a second. I'm trying to look something up. No, maybe it is. Okay. No, it is still. It looks like it's still Democrats are more you do more mail-in voting on average. For some reason, I was thinking it was like old people generally did it the most, and so I was kind of assuming that it would be Republicans. But um, here, let me just pull this one up. This was the one that I was looking at. Total voting early slash voted. 40% went to Trump, 57% went to Harris. So that's like a kind of example. Voting early by mail. Okay, that's the one that he's talking about. So 66% went to Harris and 32. So it's about a 2-to-1 split, but yeah. Well, there you go. See? I can be wrong sometimes, people. I fully acknowledge it. And I try to rectify it quickly. So, there you go.
it. I think it's a very insulting thing to say. The Democrats are fully to blame with the struggle of the great American public is going through at the airports. They're going through a big struggle right now, and we just put ICE in charge,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
helping TSA, the
I'm
agent.
sure people are going to love that. ICE is the least popular agency in the entire government. And they're all just a bunch of like greased up fat hogs that are thrown in like a bulletproof vest or whatever. And they're all going to be standing there like trying to grope migrants at the fucking uh at the fucking TSA line. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to go incredibly well. Dude, I don't know. I really hope as far as I know, we still have a First Amendment right to, yell at fucking ICE anytime we want. So I want to see some people. I want to see some people going off.
And they're working together so far very well. I actually suggested that in the airports they take off their masks, and they did that. In the airports, I didn't like. I'm a big believer in the mask because we have, Biden allowed hundreds of thousands of killers into our country. We're rapidly getting them out, by the way.
How does that? He didn't explain the mask part. Why is he a fan of the mask? The only reason that they would wear a mask is because they don't want to be held accountable one day. Is because they're scared that the obvious illegal shit that they're doing one day might put them in fucking jail. And as, someone who pays their fucking salaries with my goddamn tax dollars, I don't want them wearing a fucking mask. In fact, I demand that they do not, considering they're my employee. They're my fucking employee. So I think I should have the right to say, no, take that fucking mask off, you bitch.
But they would go after these people if they knew exactly who they were. But in the airports, it's different. I didn't love the look in the airport as you get off the plane. So I made a request and they agreed to it.
Yeah,
so
the look of a mass
we will
private
also
police
bring
force.
out, if we don't have enough, we will bring out the National Guard and where we need it to help out at the airports. But we're not going to let this happen.
I'd much
It's
rather have them.
extortion by the Democrats. They're holding up money that's already been approved, and now they're willing to go $5 billion reduction in ICE in order to get the approval.
That is nothing. That is $5 billion less. I think their budget was like 60 billion or something last year. Like it's insanity how much fucking money they're taking they're siphoning out of my goddamn wallet every single year or whatever in my taxes just to throw at the fucking private military of our goddamn big beautiful boy up here.
On a deal that they approved, the great big beautiful deal, which is the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. They want to basically renegotiate a deal that they already approved. And they're doing it largely for a criminal element. So also the Democrats are putting our country at great risk.
Dude, I don't
during
care.
This period of time, a period that they call a war. They call it a war. We call it a military operation. Their leaders during this time are as,
Good loophole. He loves his fucking loopholes, man. If I don't call it a war, then we're not actually at war. That's a good one. I like it.
As as you want to say, they're in a never land. Schumer is gone. I mean,
Peter
he's a
Pan.
Palestinian. He should be fighting on the side of Palestine.
Dude,
He's
that would be rad as fucking hell. If I saw Chuck Schumer throw on a fucking uh like one of the whatever those things that the Alcazamba grades wear or whatever, like the it's like wrapped around their whole face. And he went out there and like loaded up an RPG and like shot it in an Israeli occupation force. Like, oh man, dude, I would overnight I would gain so much more respect for him if he did that shit. That'd be sick, dude. That's the only way. That's literally the only way that Chuck Schumer can ever redeem himself in my eyes is if he does that. Sorry. But you know what would be really, really funny though, is if Donald Trump like deported him to Palestine or deported him to Gaza. If he took Schumer and literally like, threw him on a plane and denaturalized him and said, "Sorry, Schumer, you were always a Palestinian in my book, but now you're stuck in Palestine." That would be. It would also just be perfect, like karmic justice or cosmic justice or whatever for Schumer. But
actually
man, he's putting like this is an my head is like full of amazing ideas
become a
now.
Palestinian leader. I don't know. I've never seen a man change so much. He used to be pro-Israel. Now he's pro-Palestine. I've never seen
I
anything
assure
like
you,
it.
he
And,
is not.
he's worried he's going to lose his next election, which it only depends if anybody runs against him. If anybody runs against him, he'll lose. But
Probably.
he's gone very wacky.
I think he's gonna retire personally. He's really acting like he's never like he's really embracing how unpopular he is. Like he's never going to have to be held accountable ever again. So
And very dangerous for our country. But we want all of those things. We have to have them. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship as part of our funding. We want to merge them so that we can get the great, big, beautiful bill in action, and we can get the America and Save America. They called it the Save Act, but nobody knew what the Save Act was. So I said, you have to call it. You have to, under any circumstances, you have to call it the Save America Act, because everybody knows what that is. So they want funding taken away from the ICE patriots who are
I do too.
responsible for getting rid of
The vast majority of Americans do as well, Mr. Donald Trump. This one doesn't play very well.
the criminals, that Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, and his
Maybe.
gang of thugs
Maybe before you.
in the White House. You talk about weaponization. They weaponize everybody. When Pam looks at somebody, oh, it's weaponization. They've indicted me. What they've done to me and everybody else, it's a disgrace. They're the weaponizers, and what they've done to people, can never let that happen again. We can never let them get away with it again. They are the greatest weaponizers. Fortunately, it didn't work.
See, this is classic, like classic projection. uh, he knows that like people think he's weaponizing the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents or whatever. So he's just like it's really like he's kind of overdoing it a little bit. It makes it like really obvious that he's talking about himself weaponizing stuff or whatever. But yeah, that's obviously what he's doing.
Because here I am with you. So it didn't work out too well. Didn't work out too well. But they want to have people come into our country. And so many of these people are murderers. They're drug dealers. They're the worst criminals anywhere in the world. They want them in our country. They don't want them to come out. They make it almost impossible, but we get them out anyway.
I really don't understand how people actually believe this sort of shit. Like about the fucking Democrats in particular. That they like first of all, it's just such an obvious straw man. Like nobody wants fucking like rapists and criminals to come into the country or whatever. That's not what immigration is. Like that's like sure, I'm sure some of them are. We I got news for you. We got laws that like that shit is already illegal under. Um but immigration is a labor issue. Immigration is a like we need workers and So we allow them to come here, and then like I don't know I don't like how strawmanny they get with this, and I really don't understand how anyone like actually believes this. Like I don't believe that like right wingers, I don't know, like literally one or like the average right winger like actually wants to uh like assassinate every Antifa person they see or something, like or like every other vaguely left political person they see, because I think that's ridiculous. I don't think that, and I don't even necessarily think that they want the worst for the country, even though their actions lead to terrible outcomes for the country. I don't really think that Republicans and like right wingers in general actually necessarily want the worst for the country. I just think that they're kind of too stupid and brainwashed to know that what they're doing is actively making the country worse. So I don't know. I think that that's just a ridiculous thing. I think that they believe it a lot though. They believe that like that we on the left actually like actually want to just like import as many rapists into our country as possible, which is kind of insane. But also coming from the guy who hung out with Epstein and all of the pedo billionaires, it seems a little contradictory to me, but who knows?
They should have never been allowed to enter our sacred ground. These people should have never, they came from all over the world. They came from all over. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from all over South America, Asia, everywhere. And they
The
were
melting
from
pot.
jails and mental
Uh oh.
institutions. They were drug dealers. They were murderers. 11,888 murderers.
What is this stuff down here? Is he like at like a gun conference or something? Making America safe again. It must be some sort of gun conference. I'm curious about this like graphic or whatever this is down here.
In any event, the Democrats are being blamed by the American people for the
I doubt it.
catastrophe going on right now at our airports and at other points of transportation and beyond. And we want the public to know we're not going to let them out of this trap that they created for themselves. And I'm suggesting very strongly that the Republicans, in going for the Save America Act, that you weld it into.
Yeah, I can't find any actual polling on this. Maybe this one will. Um, okay, we'll read a quick thing, a quick blurb from this to try and figure out if I'm right or wrong about this. I just don't think it's going to stick, but so there hasn't been much polling on the shutdown in large part because the war, blah blah blah. But a poll released Sunday suggests that Democrats might have more leverage than Republicans, which was what I was expecting, though the numbers are not necessarily definitive. The CBS YouGov showed 31% of Americans said that Democrats' position was worth having a partial shutdown, while 36% said it was not worth it. The rest were not sure. That's a negative 5 point gap. But Americans were even less favorable when asked about Republicans holding their hard line against those changes. While 23% said the GOP's position was worth having the partial shutdown, 42% said it was not. That's a minus 19. Um, I think that what I think that what we should like what they should actually poll is who do you blame for the shutdown? I think that's a much easier question to poll. Like I don't know why they don't just poll that. Like that'd be a very simple thing to poll, but uh, the numbers are actually slightly better for Democrats than at the start of the larger government shutdown in October. At the same time, CBS data was minus 12, 28% worth versus 40 not percent. Well, yeah. So it's already in a better position than the last shutdown. And as time goes on, people are more likely to just continue blaming Republicans for this. So I would say that generally I was correct in my assessment. And I don't think as they can try to spin it as much as they want. I just don't think that it'll change anything.
Do exactly this because voter ID is part of Homeland Security. Think of it. We're talking about two separate items, but they're really the same. Voter ID is part of Homeland Security.
I don't like that. I don't like that. That means we're probably going to see ICE at the ballot box, if I had to guess. If he's starting to plant this seed right now, that voter ID is a Homeland Security issue, as opposed to, I don't know, like election issue that like is run by the states or whatever. Because in America, elections are facilitated by the states. If he's going to start trying to claim that this is actually a homeland security issue, I think he's setting the way to have ICE at the polls or whatever, which will be twofold. It'll be very intimidating and also likely they are going to try to fuck with shit. So I have a feeling that we're not going to have very free and fair elections in the upcoming, maybe not, if not in the midterms, definitely not in the next presidential election, but I wasn't really expecting to anyway, even before we started with this rhetoric. And to some extent, I'm not like an electoralism is everything kind of guy. I don't necessarily believe that like our sort of democracy or whatever um, is like the most, I don't know. There's other ways, there's other levers of power that are like, in my opinion, just as valid as electoralism in terms of like organizing, you know, and I think that generally even like the worst or even the most repressive regimes or whatever have to maintain some level of domestic support or else their system will collapse in on itself. So there's always like, the people power is always the most important thing in my book, and then, democracy is a tool for helping, you know, helping facilitate that. But yeah, this is a little scary though.
Citizenship, proof of citizenship, is part of homeland security. So I think it should be welded in. I think it should be together. You should vote together because the public has not liked what they've done at the airports, and they've done it, and the public understands it.
Nope.
They've gotten
Not according to the polls.
wise to them. Republicans do not settle with Democrats and let them out of this hole that they've buried themselves in. You have to take the votes in the Senate to approve. You need votes to approve. We have to get Democrat votes, and at a certain point, if you could get rid of the filibuster, it would be great.
Hell yeah, it would.
It would be great. Get rid of the filibuster and get it all.
Do it, do it, do it, do it. I've said before that anytime he says that he's going to do something good, like get rid of the filibuster, uh, just know it's never going to happen. The capital owning class, who are, his handler, they would never allow that to happen. The filibuster is such a good tool for preventing anything good from ever happening that they would much rather keep it as is, I think. Even if they went into some like because I could see something where like they get rid of the filibuster but only for Republican legislation and you have to keep it for the Democrat or like legislation. Like I think that would probably be a little bit too absurd of a contradiction in like our obviously absurd system of government that we already have. Like I think that might be like a step too far in terms of, obvious bias and absurdity. So I don't think that they're gonna allow that to happen. Unfortunately. I wish. I think we're basically at the end there, so I'm gonna go and call it on that one.